vice chairman. So if you will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Before we go to the call to the public, as I mentioned, this is a workshop meeting, but we're also going to try and conduct some business tonight, which is why it's also listed as a public meeting. Tonight, the agenda consists of Val Royal and the special use land amendment that she has. And we basically have no other old business. So what we will start off with is a call to the public. And as we have done in the past, you can come up and state whatever items you're interested in. Basically what we're asking you to do is to try to stay within a 3-minute piece and to also be aware of the fact that what we're talking about here is stuff other than what's on the agenda. So the first thing I'm going to do is then go to a call to the public. Is there anybody that has any issues, things they want to bring up? Questions we'll even take today. Scott?
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. Have you guys ever walked that property over there yet, at Urban Lake? I know I was talking
I have
before the
not.
meeting.
No, we've driven it around it.
Yeah, but like I said, this last week, this summer's been wet. You guys, you would probably, I know I don't want you to go out and get bit by a snake, or, I know mosquitoes are terrible this year, but, I know we brought a lot of stuff up on the public hearing. Another thing that I didn't mention at the public hearing was, they're asking for more RUs, and I think the fact that they didn't put that many on that property was, another reason why we shouldn't give them any more RUs. I didn't add that in my 3 minutes last time. So, I just think going back to that, just too many houses in there. And I think we'll have some further discussion, but we had another accident up here this Friday, and I keep coming home from bed, I can't get on my Lake Road. I know you guys can't handle it. They put that stop signs there, and it's just ridiculous. And, you've heard all the complaints about White Lake Road. It's just, I don't know why we as a government can't get somebody in here and listen to the complaints and get White Lake Road taken care of. So, thanks, guys.
Anyone else? Comments? Well, I'm still waiting for Zach to get here, because Zach is our consultant from Carlisle Workman, and what his position is with us will be to assist in presenting the special land use. And I'm hoping he shows up here in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, they closed 23 north there, 8 Mile. So,
And
if he's north of it, he should be here soon.
Yeah, he said he was north of it, so.
And they have it in Arbor, I take it?
Yeah.
He left at like 3:45.
Well, we can go through the pre-meeting agenda in
4:45,
minutes,
here
right?
for 6 o'clock.
I mean, or do we need to?
Yes, we can approve the agenda, so I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve the agenda and support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. There are no minutes to approve nor old business. So we'll suspend the meeting for the time being and wait for Zach here.
He did access down there, just come home from fishing a couple weeks ago down there in the afternoon, and all of a sudden, they got that stupid left lane they won't let you use. And all of a sudden, I see the semi going one way, and I see brake lights ahead of me. I'm pulling my boat. So I started hitting my brakes, and I got there, there's two cars tangled up with the semi else. I mean, I was just like a second, I mean, I was right there, you're just thinking, it's just crazy out there,
Yeah, I don't miss driving down 23 every morning and back.
Yeah.
Every evening.
That's like when I used to work at the Ford plant, I don't miss that job, that drive every day, I hated it. One morning, I drove down there and somebody came on the ramp the wrong way. And just went ripping right. I was right behind my buddy. The car went by him, he missed him, and the got right behind him. And I just missed that one. Somebody got in the wrong way. Up there by 96.
I see Zach coming up the walk, so.
All right, can you real quick? Yeah.
I hope so.
That's probably one of the three, number five there. That's the reason we need not to convert. He's saying we do convert to gravel. Because you're gonna increase the amount.
You bring donuts?
I bring tidings from US 23. They're not kind tidings, but they're tidings.
Every inch, right?
Rush hour.
That's a fun drive.
Did they have to go out the 23?
Yes, it was entirely shut down.
Oh,
I have no idea where I was. It was off in the parts where there's no internet connection.
Zach, open your water bottle up and take a swig. I'm assuming it's water.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
And we'll reconvene the meeting here. We are at new business for Val Royal Barn Special Land Use Amendment. I guess I will start out first with you ladies. Did you want to say anything first before we have Carlisle Wortman go over the analysis?
No, I was hoping to save time if we could just go right to the summary.
Okay, we can do that.
Yep.
Well, let's see. We can do it if I can find it. Which one is it? This
I think
one?
you just hit it. That's it right there.
Here? No.
No, I just saw them.
That's 3 out of 5. There we go.
Page looking.
Yep.
Last page.
So Zach, we'll put you on the spot.
All right. So this is for essentially an amendment of a special land use. It is, what's the fancy term? Public-private recreation area facility. This was previously approved. It's an event facility, and the proposed changes are to the statement of use. Because the potential for public-private recreational areas and facilities is so large, one of the requirements of the zoning ordinance is you need to tell us what it is and how you're going to operate it. So the applicants, and they can confirm this, are not proposing any physical changes to the previously approved site plan, but rather the operation. Quick summary of the proposed changes, this is on page 1 of the report there, would be to allow larger events on weekdays, up to 163 participants. Currently, it's limited to 60 participants on weekdays. Requesting for extended hours of operation on weekdays from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. instead of the current 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. To allow for later music on weekdays, 10:30 rather than the current 8:30. Clarify support or use of the wedding of the inn to support weddings on Sundays. Allow for more events on weekends, up to 2 events on 6 of the weekends. Currently, it's limited to 1 kind of mega event. And expand the potential for subcontracted use of the facility. And by that, I mean renting out the facility for other types of events, for Boy Scouts or whoever has spaghetti meals there. The property is, I'm going on page 2, quick version here, roughly 7.8 acres. It has access from North Old US 23. It is in the RE Rural Estate Zoning District, and the use is a special land use for that zoning district. You see the zoning map on page 3. It's in a kind of peculiar neighborhood. To the north is business with the cemetery and a single-family house right along Old US 23. To the south and east is the concrete facility. It is within the planned commercial services of the future land use map, so commercial activity is generally consistent with the future land use map. We already touched on the surrounding properties on page 4 there, but if anyone has questions, more detailed stuff on here, let me know. For natural resources, there are water body and creek through there. The proposed change, on top of page 5 now, to the description of use statement does not appear to have any impact on the natural resources. Again, for area width, height, and setbacks, there are no proposed changes or additions of any structures or other improvements with the proposed amendment. For access and circulation, there is an existing drive off from Old US 23. There are, no proposed changes to that. And as I mentioned in the report, there will be more events with potential for more vehicles, but the total vehicles for any single event will remain unchanged because the maximum capacity is still what it is for the maximum capacity for any event. For off-street parking and loading, there are 2 parking areas now, one that is completely gravel, one closer towards the road that is grass. And it does appear since the original site plan approval that the maneuvering lane where you drive has been converted to gravel. A couple of things that we note is potential consideration as part of this review of converting the entire grass parking area to gravel. And the reason we bring that up is because it was previously only used for those rare occasions or for the really large events that were only on weekends. There's a potential for it to be used more regularly now since the larger events could be throughout the week. At the very least, the site plan should be updated to show that it is gravel. And one thing that we bring up is the site plan that was previously approved mentions that employees and the use description that employees are parked off-site and driven there. We just bring this up because usually when off-site parking or shared parking is considered or approved, that most communities want to say, show us that you have a legal right to do that. My understanding, it's been operating properly and there haven't been any concerns, so it's not a huge concern. I just bring it up kind of as a practice, natural reflex. Essential services, it's our understanding that there'll be no changes to any of the utilities as part of this proposed change. And just the note that they should confirm that it can continue to accommodate the potential volume and to make sure the well of the other facilities are adequate. And if the parking is converted to gravel, then it would be good to confer with the township engineer to make sure that the stormwater management system is adequate, because the gravel would likely have greater runoff than grass. For landscaping and screening, it's our understanding that there are no changes to that, or changes to locations of activities as part of the proposed amendment. You can get confirmation from the applicants. Same thing for lighting and outdoor advertising, that it does not appear to have any proposed changes to what's currently there. For public-private recreational area facility standards, these are specific standards that are outlined in the zoning ordinance. I'll do the quick version here. Description of use is the first one, and that's what's being requested for the amendment tonight. So they've changed language for the type of events, that it will be only open Wednesdays through Sundays. The proposed additional events are generally consistent with events that are there, except only limited to the weekends right now. As noted in there, some of the additional events may require additional permits from other entities. If alcohol is served or if raffles, you need to go through the state for that. but that's not really domain for Tyrone Township to worry about, just want to bring it up. There is a change to the language. Instead of large events and small events, the proposed change would call them Friday and Saturday events and weekday events. The capacity would be 163 for all of them. That includes 150 guests and 13 staff. One of the things we call for is kind of clarifying it. It's touched on in some places, but not consistently throughout. And that's just so people in the future, once we're gone, can know what we're talking about. We mentioned the change to the hours. There's a note in there that music would stop half an hour before the closing. And I just wanted to note that regardless of what time there's music, it would still have to follow the zoning ordinance standards for how loud it could be at the property lines. If there is concern about sound, your ordinance basically has the changeover at 10 p.m. So you can approve it with the change that no outdoor music at 10 p.m. Again, if there's concern about outdoor music. Compatibility of use. The proposed use is generally consistent with what's there. There's just going to be more larger events. Some things we bring up is trash management. Since there are more events and more people, there's potentially need for greater management of that. Intensity of use. There was a subcommittee meeting that reviewed these materials previously and said we think this ought to go to the Planning Commission for its review and approval as opposed to administrative approval. Traffic impacts and road access. Again, there are no proposed changes. For any single event, the volume of traffic is likely to remain the same, but there is a potential for more of those larger events. And we note there that may want to talk with the road commission if anything additional is necessary. Sometimes the metrics are the peak events, and sometimes it's kind of over a period of time, so it may trigger some different things. Landscaping and screening. Again, we mentioned there do not appear to be any proposed changes. For setbacks, no proposed changes to any of the existing structures or additional structures. For parking, it is already parked. It has the minimum parking necessary for the 163 folks that could be there. So there's no change needed for that. We mentioned the potential changes for grass to gravel because of the likelihood of more cars being there.
Zach?
Yep.
The 163 spaces that are there, that covers the participants, correct? That does not cover staffing?
Correct. The parking that's available on the site is for the guests. The extra 13 for the employees either park at the house or off-site and are brought in, is how it was previously approved. Let's see, annual review. One of the requests as part of the change is instead of submitting monthly reports to submit them at closer to the annual review, which is required here. And our understanding is there haven't really been any issues with the operation of this facility since it was approved, so that doesn't seem to be too big of a challenge to go to the annual review at this time. And let's see, because it is special land use, we're looking at both the site plan and special land use standards, although it's primarily focused on the special land use since there's nothing physically changed. There are a couple things for the site plan though. Some information ought to be updated, like we ought to have a plan that's stamped by a designer. That's one of the requirements of your zoning ordinance. Some notes ought to be updated to be consistent with any changes that are approved here. And any changes that are required for approval, like showing where trash goes or if parking is going to change, should be added on there. For special land uses, the criteria are whether it's consistent with the master plan, and as mentioned that this area calls for planned commercial services, which is generally consistent with the nature of this operation, that the special land use is consistent with the intent of the zoning district, and as mentioned, This is a special land use in the current RE zoning district there. Neighborhood compatibility. The use, for those of you who haven't driven by, it's really tucked back. It's hard to see unless you drive back there yourself. It has a lot of commercial use, well, industrial use to the south and to the east. It has US 23, or to the west, US 23 to the east. It has a cemetery to the north. So as far as places you could put these, there aren't that many folks that will be disturbed for it. There is a single family house to the north. We're not aware of any complaints or issues from there previously. How it will affect the natural environment. As we mentioned, there aren't any physical changes to the site. If the parking is converted, there may be a need to look at the stormwater management in a bit more closely. For public services, the only thing we mentioned is potential for greater trash. If either more bins or a dumpster. If there's a dumpster, that ought to be added to the plan. For traffic, we mentioned that the number of vehicles per event are going to be similar to what the current maximum would be. Additional development, it does not appear that the proposed change to the use of the facility would have a negative impact on the development of the surrounding properties, especially considering that it is in the planned commercial service future land use map area. And lastly, health, safety, and welfare. It does not appear that it would have a negative impact on health, safety, and welfare, as long as this body goes through those couple of conversation ideas or areas and addresses any concerns that do come up here. I'm not going to go specifically through the summary and comments. We've touched on most of those, but if anyone has specific questions, I'm happy to answer them on those or the rest of the report.
Okay, so planning commissioners, this is your opportunity to ask questions and to
I have a question for the
clarification.
applicant. It seems like the biggest point here is converting the grass parking area to gravel. What are your thoughts on that? You know,
Yeah, no,
if it gets muddy, it's gonna be kind of a mess for your guests. But do you think it'd be used extensively enough that it would become a problem? What's your thought?
No, I prefer to stay grass, and actually at a prior planning meeting, Zach, you weren't here at that one, but I had my civil engineer here, and my attorney spoke on our behalf that the grass, our property is primarily clay, so it stays very hard and compact. You can cut the grass really short, and it's harder for me to maintain gravel, to have to dust it. Put the solution on so it's not dusty. If it rains, gravel tends to spread and create more holes that people can trip in, so I have to constantly work on keeping my gravel. I have Eric Priest that maintains my gravel driveway now, and it's just constant. So I proposed all along to just keep the grass. But yeah, at that one meeting, when my civil engineer was here, he stated that that area is high and dry. It's a lot higher than my lower parking level. So the water tends to run off, it never gets muddy. We've operated for 6 years with it like this now, has never been an issue. Putting gravel down is gonna create more of an issue for me, in my opinion.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, were you expanding the months of usage too?
No,
So you're staying with, was it October through, April through October?
yeah.
Dropping Monday and Tuesday as well. So
Yeah, I
those-
don't know,
those two
did you
days.
have that in your notes?
Yep,
Yeah,
I did.
so we're giving up having any people there, any cars there on Monday and Tuesday.
To reduce the
Yeah,
wear.
just-
So that makes sense to me on the grass. I'm actually in
Yeah,
agreement
the
with
prior
you.
planning
No
commission
offense,
said-
Zach, but
Yep.
I've been to enough events where, if it's high
You can see,
and
yeah.
it is clay, then, and it is a lot easier to maintain. Just mow it.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive, yeah. It does look prettier.
Because if you're going to use it during any of the winter months, grass doesn't work well.
Right.
Good point, yeah.
Plows.
Yeah.
And then the other comment was your off-site parking for the staff. You said that was addressed, so that's not an issue, or is that an issue?
The current site plan mentions that staff will park off-site and be brought in, or that they may park at the house. The reason why I brought it up is oftentimes when there's off-site parking or shared parking agreements, there's a desire to have something in writing, like here is where we're parking and we have agreement. Now, parking for 13 people is a lot easier to find in the area than if you had to find parking for 50 people, for example. So I just brought it up out of practice as a potential conversation.
So that's what you're currently doing?
Yeah, we don't have any issues with staff parking.
Where do they park?
You might be, we have staff, we have vendors. So we need to clarify.
Well-
Well, it says employees and contract workers in the
Okay.
section.
Yeah, so all of them, well, the staff that we have that does our parking attending, they use our personal spots. So I have a garage that has 2 spots. I have 2 spots in front of my garage, so that's 4. And then the caterers kind of park in that T-shaped driveway. They kind of park closer to the barn. And then there's never been, I guess, another thing with weddings is when you invite 150 people, it's really rare that every single person attends the wedding, so we're hardly at capacity.
Right, for parking, right.
How many times have you been maxed out for parking?
I think once,
Once.
It's rare.
yeah.
Because we're a family-owned business, so there's 3 of us that live there, we don't need to park.
Because, you really don't have any other space there. You really can't park on US 23.
Right, right, and I've never had to, never been an issue.
So you haven't been doing the shuttle and parking outside?
I have a friend whose daughter works for me, and she gets dropped off. Some of them aren't, some of them don't even have their driver's license.
We just never exceeded the capacity though, so. it's not-
Now, you're gonna have events too, which will be run by vendors. Somebody renting it out for, let's say, a spaghetti dinner.
Correct.
So their staff, or however you wanna call them, are gonna have to park off premise.
We could include them, and I think there'd be enough.
Okay, because,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, weddings are one thing, but you're getting into other events too. So if you have
Right.
a dad and daughter dance, or a Halloween party, or whatever you can concoct here that somebody else is putting on there. Again, you'd have to have more than 160, folks that are gonna show up for it, but,
We were gonna keep the guest count to 150
okay.
for any public events that, if we did a spaghetti dinner.
And you are on sewer there, right?
Yeah,
So that's not an issue.
non-issue.
Has there ever been any complaints?
Never.
What about with the township?
No, in fact, the lady who lives to the north of them was very pleased with the operation so far.
And she was here for that Tuesday meeting.
Yes.
That's the lady that was here.
Yeah.
Do you have any problem with stopping the music at 10?
She would like to do 10:30 for her Sunday event,
Yeah.
if it's
You're talking
possible.
about Saturday or Sunday?
On the site plan, it says, noise from entertainment shall cease before 11:30 PM on Fridays and Saturdays, 8:30 PM on other days.
Yeah, so she's requesting an increase for her Sunday weddings and what?
Oh, so there's been no revisions to this site plan?
Correct. That's what we're asking for now.
Could you clarify the times that you want to have the music go until?
Yes, we'd like it to go until 10:30.
Or whatever the zoning will allow.
Well, we can request that it goes a little later, correct?
The zoning, Zach, our zoning is 10, is that what you're saying?
Well, the zoning would allow music throughout the night, but it has to be quieter. So that's often, places will say once it drops, that's when you stop outdoor music, just because it becomes a lot easier to manage or police.
You mentioned something about outdoor music, because ours is
Yep.
indoors, if that makes a difference.
Okay.
And we did have a.
Well, you're also surrounded by,
The highway?
I mean, the highway, I wouldn't think anyone from running like can probably hear it.
Oh, no.
Right,
Especially with the highway there,
On the
there's
end of
a
our
berm.
property, before you get to 23, you can't hear your.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, except for the one house to the north, and if
Yeah.
there,
We weren't sure if we had to comply with any kind of zoning,
We've actually gone over there when the DJs are,
Pennies. their
playing,
neighbors.
yeah, we'll go to the next door neighbors to the north, and we can't hear the music at all, we're standing in the front yard. And there was one time where a DJ was blasting it, and I was like, I gotta go check this, I think that this is maybe too loud, and we went next door, we couldn't hear anything.
How long have you been operating there?
6 years?
And no problems? That's
Yeah.
good testimony right there.
You have a question, Scott?
Yeah, I went up there and checked it out, talked to the girls. I met them at a couple of meetings. Bravo, this is where we want it. You know, I've always complained, let's not put these things in a residential area. And, you know, and we don't have the traffic going into the areas, running down through White Lake Road, to right out the expressway. The traffic noise is unbelievable up there.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You go up there, stand by their barn, and I mean, I talked to the girls, they're very, I mean, they were forthcoming. They said, come check out a place. You know, because they know how I feel about it, you know, about these things going in our neighborhood. Come on, check out, I want to check it. They were very forthcoming. And the traffic noise, I couldn't believe it. Even as far back as they, I mean, they wouldn't allow anything. Plus, I mean, the cement plant, they do cement crushing during the week, don't they? So, I mean, and then the paintball place just be on the other side, and so, I mean, this is what we did the master plan last time. We set up these areas for, get it away from people's homes where they want quiet. This is perfect. I mean, I didn't come when you guys did the first, because I said, this is perfect, that's where we want this stuff. So, thank you.
We do a lot of weddings on the Friday, Saturday. These weddings and events that we want to have Sunday through Thursday, they're gonna be a handful. They're not, that's an important thing to mention too. Is we might do 10 Sunday weddings compared to 26 on Saturday.
You did get your fire suppression system in too, correct?
Yeah, that was fun.
We will need, I think Zach's comment was that we do need stamps by now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's gotta happen.
So
We're
what
gonna
we're
have to
gonna,
make amendments to it anyways, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, what we're gonna need is an updated site plan that has all of the particular information.
So for the record, I did get a dumpster, so I'll add that to the site plan. That's something we changed.
So what are your considerations, commissioners, on the music and the timing?
If there's no complaints,
There's been no, yeah.
if there's no public to,
I guess my thing is, if it's indoor, there's hundreds of people around the township inside that probably have it louder, depending on what they like, right? So, but, yeah, I guess on that I'd be okay.
yeah.
Yeah, if there's not been complaints in the past, I would.
And just like Scott said, the location, I mean, there's one house, and if they're not here complaining.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
The only other question I have, is on your driveway, in and out, can two vehicles pass at the same time?
Yeah, we have what's called a commercial approach, which we did.
I just drove by that, it looked fairly wide, drawn here, which was prior to when they
That
built
sucker's,
it,
this
showing
big,
30.
man, costs a fortune.
And that's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to verify, I drive by and I've seen it, but I want to verify.
Yeah, that was put in.
I would add that the chair mentioned it's not possible to park on 23. I have been parked on 23 a couple minutes ago. So it is, I don't recommend it,
yeah, I would say if the parking got an issue and there was cars out there or complaints for that, then.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, we've never had a problem.
Yeah.
so what's the procedure for that? If something here that we say is not an issue, but it becomes an issue, then.
So, special land uses are not just the site plan, but kind of the uses and the conditions bundled together. So, in general, what happens if there are a bunch of cars that are all of a sudden parked on the road? That's a violation of the special land use approval. So the township would, and I'm not saying they're gonna do it, but just as an example, the township would put them on notice, like, hey, you can't do this. And if it happens multiple times, then the special land use can be revoked. It comes back through here, there's a whole process.
Yeah. Sheriff's Department would also have something to say.
Sure.
about that.
Yeah.
So what we need to do, Kurt, is just have the plan revised with a few comments we made and sealed, of course.
We can, one option would be to approve it on a contingent basis. And that would be whatever of these 1 through 13 items that we want to include on the contingency. that's really what you're looking at. So you've got 13 items. If you want to propose an approval to it, it would be which ones of the 13 would you like to include?
You know, I think you would need the dumpster should be included in the revised site plan.
Okay.
It should be sealed. I'm not in favor of making the grass parking.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve. That's, to me, that would,
It increases runoff, it just does all kinds of things that we're kind of.
they don't have the need for it.
Yeah. And those are my only things to it.
Yeah, I think you need to update, different times on here.
So,
All the times that you have in the application, update that in here.
so the site plan needs to be updated, that's number 12. Number
And we're
13,
updating the time to 10:30 on
Yeah, what is the time?
Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. You're all good with that?
okay. All right, so slight, all right, consideration given for gravel and grass, we'll leave that one off. Number 2,
Same with two, I don't see a maneuvering lane for grass parking areas been converted to gravel. I think,
That was my question. I have a gravel road that I put in. You don't have a site plan. Can you pull up the site plan? Does it show that? Because my copy at home does show that the gravel road was done.
In the turnaround, is that the part?
in the turnaround,
Not in the turnaround.
in the existing, the lower parking area.
Not the lower parking area, the one that's high, and then so they drive down a black asphalt, so the top right.
right down in here.
Nope,
Keep going up.
keep going up, right to my property line to the north. Wait, see the parking spots that are
Oh,
horizontal?
you're talking about the property up here.
No, now go down a little bit.
a little bit.
Here?
Right
You
there,
got
yeah,
it.
that's
You got
my grass parking lot.
Yeah, this grass, this is gravel.
Correct. My drawing at home that I thought was approved
We
shows
don't
the
even use
gravel
those
road.
parking spots up there.
So
I
you
don't
don't
see
see
that
an
this one.
updated plan showing the gravel road
Is
going
it
down?
is it gravel now?
Sorry, yeah, it's a black crushed
How can
asphalt.
you tell?
Okay. So,
Well, if you look at the map, there's a hatching, here it says gravel, and
Oh, there's a key, okay.
it's hard to see on this
Yeah,
resolution,
yeah.
but.
So you have that updated on the plan?
No, it shows that as grass,
That's all grass?
yeah.
It was always gravel.
I can update that to show existing conditions.
yeah, so we're looking at, when you
So you-
update the site plan,
You need a gravel.
we need all that information on there.
Yeah,
And,
I have a different one at home that I thought was the updated one.
It's probably sealed too.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. No, not again. How about this one?
But if we're not gonna convert, on number 2, if we're not gonna convert the parking to gravel anyways, that's kind of a moot point.
Kind of a moot point.
That's true.
What it does though is it helps document the
You want site plan
conditions.
accurate.
Yeah, I would agree, so next time we look at it, we see what's out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it needs to be surveyed, sketch it in.
Using it on the site plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just try to show the existing conditions, if you added the dumpster, show where the dumpster
Put
is.
the dumpster on
If you
there.
got gravel there,
Put your
show it.
operating hours on there, the days you're gonna be open.
No.
All that kind of stuff needs to be on there, because what happens with special use, the things you don't include, if you want to do later, you can. You know, you'll be back here again with another request for a special land use, so.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna add, we're not doing 1 or 2. 3, location of employee parking, et cetera. Or are we saying that's not a problem?
No, I think they said they'll be under their number
Okay.
regardless.
Applicant should confirm that existing utilities are adequate to accommodate the potential of increasing volume of guests.
So it's not increasing the volume, it's just increasing the number of days of the maximum volume, right?
Pretty much, it's allowing more guests to be, so what you're looking at here is sewer, and bathrooms, anything that would increase the utilities that they would need to address on there. If we're saying no, then that's okay.
I would think since we're on
In
the
the-
sewer, that isn't.
Yeah, it's not
In
sewer,
their
but
use statement.
we're assuming that.
How many bathrooms are there?
There's 2 bathrooms for the women, or 2 toilets, and a toilet and a urinal for the men.
Okay, do you have people lined up outside?
Never.
Just just so they're not using the side of the barn, I guess is.
Well,
They better not be.
I actually have seen them.
Okay.
So we have outdoor restrooms too. Just kidding.
5, we're gonna skip.
Yes.
Yeah, number 6, the applicant should confirm that there are no changes to the existing landscaping, screening, lighting, or signs. Now, one of the things we talked about, not this time, but prior, was the sign. Are you still putting a sign out there?
The road commission will only allow us to put it about 50 feet away from the road, which does us no good.
Okay. So in essence, we're not changing anything.
We're not changing that. We still are permitted to have a sign the day of the wedding.
Right.
That's our solution.
So that's what we do instead.
And that's what kind of a swinging sign or what?
Usually it's like a trifold.
Yeah.
The save the
Wood
town,
sign.
like save the townhouse signs.
Okay, language in the description and use statement should be revised. Okay, again, that stuff needs to be on the,
It's like-
so 7, yes. Planning commission may want to consider outdoor music no later than 10. We decided that's not, so.
We're gonna go to 10:30, right?
Yeah. Planning commission may want to, may consider some changes to trash management if there's a concern with capacity. And you're saying right now you're using a dumpster?
It was in the-
Yeah.
Okay, so that needs to be on
Added.
the site plan.
Do we need to say the company that we're using?
No, that's not important. As long as it shows up there, then you're committed to
We
having it.
want them there, believe you me.
Yeah. So we'll say 9 is on there also.
That's good for them, it's important.
Kurt, does it matter if our dumpster is in an enclosed area, it's like fenced off? Does it-
No, that's okay.
Some places require it, that's why I told her that, I noticed that because it was.
Yeah,
she had a-
as long as we know that there is, because I think prior to that, you're just using trash cans out there, if I remember correctly. So if you've got a dumpster someplace, we need to know.
Is it
It's
screened?
fine, but the garbage pickup that
Then
we get
have it-
as
have
a
a screening
residence
on
is
the
not
inside.
screened.
Yeah. Let's see, planning commission should consider the township engineer Williamson County if any additional improvements are necessary for the driveway. We've already discussed that. Commission should consider the owner operator instead prepare and submit an annual report. I think 11 we wanted to include that, right? You're doing an annual report instead of a monthly
She's got a
report?
question for you on that.
Okay,
I just want fair to be fair. So does Heavenly Scent do this?
is what?
The Heavenly Scent wedding venue? Do they turn in their annual reports to you?
I tried to find that information, I even asked, and I don't know, I'm not sure.
I mean, is 6 years is sufficient enough to show that we're complying and we're good? It's kind of a,
So I can dive deeper into language, but an annual report is required in the zoning ordinance for.
Yeah, I mean, for
these-
special land use, you're supposed to be doing
got it.
that.
We
Now,
weren't sure about that. Yeah.
Now, can I go back to the file there and find one from Heavenly Scent? Probably, I don't know. I'm just making a statement,
Well,
I
if
don't
it's-
know.
If it's in the ordinance.
Mhm.
then that's-
As long as that's fine with Ross, Ross is the only one that has to review that, right?
Yeah, Ross is the one.
So as long as Ross is fine with it, whatever you have to do with him is,
Yeah,
Okay,
but
okay.
for special land use, you're supposed to be doing that.
If it's in there,
That was my
yeah.
question, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The zoning ordinance does allow for different time intervals, so if there is,
Some flexibility.
like a paintball event or facility, you may want to hear
If
more.
I remember correctly, wasn't the requirement for you monthly or quarterly?
It was monthly, and we're crazy busy during wedding season. It was like the last, I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
So if we could do that during like the November,
So-
December months, that'd be way better. Like, we're
So
willing
the
to
ordinance,
comply.
the ordinance says annually, so that should be on
Okay,
there.
We might have been monthly because this was a new concept, having
Yeah.
a wedding in a barn.
So we'll convert it to annually.
All right, appreciate that.
Okay, so that gets us down to 7, 9, 11, 12, and 13 are the contingencies on this. So if I'm understanding the planning commissioners, what we're going to do then is provide approval on a contingent basis and list those 5, 7, 9,
what's 7, 1,
7.
I thought we said that that wasn't an issue.
Well, that needs to be on there so we know where the,
7 is stating how many guests on the site plan.
yeah,
Yeah, it just needs to match the site.
Yeah.
Okay, so just that.
Their use statement.
yeah,
Got it, okay, thank you.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So before we do that, do we need to take, like, we're gonna vote on this today, of those conditions, right?
Right.
All right.
So
So
the-
should we take comments from the public on this?
No, we don't have
We
to.
don't have to.
Right.
Is that your formal motion?
Did you
If
want-
someone, yeah, I can't make the motion.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I do have one question.
Sure.
I'm asking my sister, should we, which one is it now? I can't see that far. Number 7. We've got it for 150 guests and 13 support staff. We don't usually have like 13 support staff, so I'm wondering if we should discuss that or not. It's usually not that high of a number. Does it
Okay.
matter? I mean, is it pigeonholing us? Like, we
What-
could say, we could have 155 guests, and we could allow our clients to have more guests.
Okay,
Is that worth bringing up? I'm
If
waiting
you're-
to hear.
The 150 guests and 13 was used as the basis for the original parking.
right.
And the ratios for guests and staff are a little bit different. So it's something that could be massaged. It's a little bit deeper than what I prepared to because it appeared that there weren't going to be any changes.
It's not a big deal, it's brewing in my mind that we don't usually have 13. That's a high number. So, it's not a big deal.
yeah, and the big deal is, from my point of view, is that you're below your 163 from a safety standpoint, right? That's
Right.
more important, I think.
That's the upper.
Whether it's
That's
30
the-
people working and
The
100.
parking, what you're saying is we're using a different factor for parking?
Yes.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
if the parking becomes an issue, then that's, I mean, that would be kind of kick it back to a review, a
Right.
review of this.
Like,
So-
we might have 3 vendors. We might have a caterer, a photographer, and a DJ. That's it. And then-
Sometimes
and
they
then
get their
staff
drop
maybe
off
one-
food and leave.
Yeah, so that number is really high, so it's kind of bugging me a little bit. It makes me think maybe while we're here, that's something. But if it's gonna rock the boat or make things too difficult, then we'll just.
well, what we're trying to do is get to 163 there.
Zach, what is the, you said that the numbers are slightly different, what would the, what's the trade-off? Would it be,
It might be even different. I mean, assuming that the worker's gonna drive themselves in one car,
Yeah, that's the general
So,
assumption.
could you just make
It
it
might-
163?
it might make it, it might actually improve the parking.
Yeah.
If there's more guests and less staff, the staff are gonna drive themselves, guests are gonna probably use like
Double up.
1.5 cars or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
I think
factors
it's
are.
3.
3 per car.
3 per car.
Yeah. that's-
Okay, but the workers, we're assuming is probably one. per
Yeah, we don't have,
So-
really- yeah. Workers vent one thing, vendors is another. So that's where there's a little bit of a, for me, I'm looking at this as 2 different.
Yeah, but, you know, from our perspective, there are people who are invited to the ceremony, and there are people who are working at the
Yes,
ceremony.
support staff is workers and vendors.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
whether they're
Yeah.
employed by you or,
That's what I needed to clarify, so, because in my mind as a
yeah,
developer slash owner, I'm thinking it a little bit differently, so I'll make
Yeah.
sure I'm with you guys.
so are we set with this then? 7, 9, 11, 12, 13 are the contingencies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's other questions or. I'll make a motion for conditional approval of the application as submitted and the wording therein, with the conditions being that we have a site plan that shows the dumpster location and it has a stamp, and then the site plan has the same notes that are consistent with the use statement, and that we amend it to require an annual report. I think that's it.
Support.
Okay, we've got a motion for a contingent approval based on the information listed there, and we have support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Yay. Thank you.
Okay, well, we are down to call to the public. Yes, sir. You want to come up and state your name?
I'm John Adams. I live at 8480 Linden Road, which is roughly 3 miles from the Vale Barn. And there's currently a proposal for the Salamonson barn venue at Linden Center Road.
That's correct.
Which I noticed that there's also similarities for your amendments tonight and stuff like that. And although the Vale Barn is, a much better position for location-wise, I'm concerned about my location being at Linden Center, and I'm so close to the barn itself.
Right.
And with the increased event, if this is approved, then you're gonna have another event of 196 people they want at Linden Road. And I'm concerned about that, not only that, but with the noise and stuff like that, because their barn is right on the road, and I'm kitty corner, to the barn for my residence, and I have a vacant parcel of property across. And so if that vacant parcel gets built, you're gonna have another house that's gonna be impacted by that barn on Linden Road from the Salamonsons. And so I just want to, make sure there isn't gonna be additional events going on, for everybody that has a barn that's gonna have 200 people trying to motor into a residential area.
We do have a lot of barns in the township.
And one of the initial concerns I had, what was brought up tonight too, was the one residence, just to the north of you, and you addressed that issue that they were satisfied with it, and Scott, you mentioned that you were around there too, and you couldn't hear anything. But in my case, I'm right out of the road.
Sure.
Across from the Salamonsons, and that would be a negative impact on myself.
Yeah. Different situation in your situation.
And I don't think that by any means set a precedent that we prove this, that. There's a lot of differences in that property.
Right.
The zoning's different. Well, the current zoning is the same, but the future land use shows different zoning, shows commercial here. It's right next to the interstate freeway.
Just right.
No, I realize that.
And we took into account all the neighbors and any impacts, noise impacts for that. So,
And they also been operating for 6 years too.
yeah.
With no complaints.
And so, like in my case too, you have section 17, I'm in section 20, the Salamonsons in section 19. And although in section 17, some of the land use was shown as manufacturing, et cetera, for future land use. Well, currently, we now have 2 new homes being built, in section 17, not too far from the corner of Center and Linden Road.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to support his thing that you guys did perfect here. This was a perfect location for this barn wedding, and it's way off the road. That other one, I don't know if she's coming back, you guys probably know, but that's just a bad location. The parking, there's slopes from the back of the barn. There's no much frontage in the front of the barn. It's right up on top of the road. It's just too many homes. That's what I think you guys know from what we've been talking about on our RCP sites and other things. We want to try to save the community, make it rural, have a place for our kids and people retired. This doesn't interfere with that. That's what's nice about it. It doesn't interfere with that. Perfect. So thanks. You guys did a good job.
Okay. You have a comment back there?
Yeah. I'm Heather Hamilton. I'm actually John's neighbor.
Okay.
I love where these guys are at. I'm just going to say that. So I'm assuming you assess each property individually. So if they pull their SLU, then you guys would assess that in a different situation as theirs.
Right.
Okay. And you mentioned that ours is rural estate. So there's just like some kind of commercial thing.
Well, the existing is still real estate, but the future land use shows proposed something.
Planned
PCI,
commercial services.
Planned commercial, yeah.
Basically, I just want to know, does that show over by us?
No, your future land use is shown as real estate at the
Still
surface.
real estate, okay.
But it's on the border. So north of you is, north of Center Road is medium density, single family homes.
Okay.
Northeast of you is that, basically there's that orange area, which is high density. And then there's, other commercial stuff, planned industrial research office and planned commercial industrial. That's, where the, factory is, all the way west to the, to Linden Road. That has different, future land use.
Yeah, but when they come in, we have to consider it,
Well,
that's the
sure,
way it goes.
absolutely, I
And-
understand that.
But since there's nothing in front of us right now, we're just kind of talking in generalities. But when it comes in, we have to do that, and Zach will of course do his review, and we'll look at everything that applies at that time.
Perfect. The only other question I had was, are there any other venues besides you guys and Heavenly Scent, which according to their website, doesn't do wedding venues anymore? They do have the vendors and they have the fairs and all that stuff, but I don't think they're doing weddings.
I haven't understood that
I
they're
think
doing
it's
it.
COVID. There's
They have,
no.
oh, was it COVID?
It might have
Okay.
been.
Or any events that they do. If they have, if you have to say how many you do. We have to list, if we have a private party, I have to
I
tell us.
don't know either. I mean, I know about the one that they're talking about.
No, Heavenly Scent, so they're approved for weddings?
I don't know that one for sure.
And we're,
We're-
I mean, they have the approval.
There's
whether
something
they
with the
do it or
liquor.
not.
There's
Okay,
something with
because
the liquor.
I was
That's
not-
residential.
I was not on the planning commission at the point in time that one was approved, so I can't.
They get no liquor, and they gotta be shut down by 10 o'clock,
Maybe even
because they're a
earlier.
residential.
It might even be earlier.
Yeah.
I think that hindered them, so they just.
Maybe it's 8 PM, I can't remember. 8
But again,
PM.
it makes a difference on what the zoning is, what the neighborhood zoning
See a
is.
lot of neighbors there.
Yeah,
So there's just the two that you guys know of?
yeah.
And that was an outdoor event, those were outdoor
It's on
events.
Linden and Center.
And that was,
We're at the bakery.
we could hear the music all the way down the road. They had them in tents, it was blaring. I'm in my bedroom at night, it was blaring, if we shut it down, plus the people driving down the road after drinking in the residential area, I mean, White Lake Road is terrible. I mean, it's just, so, we talked about that.
Any other public comments?
Oh, does our approval require a public hearing?
I think we've gone through everything on the public hearing, haven't we?
The board still needs to vote on it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It goes to the board.
Yeah, I think it just goes to the board.
Just straight to the board?
Yeah. Okay, we'll close the public comments. We do not have any miscellaneous business, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, guys.
This was a nice one.
Congratulations. You guys did everything.
Sure, such as it is.
Do you know?
Thank you, guys.
Tyrone Township.